Recording started.
Welcome to Global Ed TV. My name is Lucy Gray, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. We're excited to have our second Global Ed TV webinar tonight with Lisa Petro from Know My World, and we're going to be talking about global education in action. The Global Education Conference is a community of 23,000 members who are interested in global education. We host a main conference in November, along with several other virtual and face-to-face events for educators to join in. We hope that you will check out our community at globaleducationconference.com for updates, and you can see all of our events at globaledevents.com. Know My World is a global education resource that coaches teachers in digital shared learning experiences with classrooms all over the globe. Through social, emotional, cultural, and academic learning, Know My World offers a variety of programs and professional development opportunities to bring global education into your community. Please check out their website at knowmyworld.org. Without further ado, I want everybody to indicate where they are in the world by clicking on the star in the tools to the left of the whiteboard and showing us where you are. And this kind of gives us a sense of our audience tonight and how we are practicing global education by being part of this. All right, so it looks like we have a lot of East Coast people. We've got somebody up in Canada. You can tell us where you are in the chat. I'm in Northbrook, Illinois, which is just outside Chicago, and it's very cold. It's winter here, and I don't know, maybe 30 degrees out. It's dark. It's just 6 o'clock tonight in my time zone. I'm sure it's beautiful in Colorado, Tony. All right, so we've got Connecticut, D.C., New York. We've got several in Connecticut. Joy, where are you? Taiwan. All right, that's great. It must be kind of late in Taiwan, I'm assuming. All right, this is great. And Wendy, okay. The sun always shines in Edmonton. Okay, that's great. And then we have Pakistan here, so yay for Pakistan representing tonight. This event will be recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel later if anybody has any questions. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Lisa so she can share with you her fabulous guest that we have tonight. Before we do that, we need to thank our sponsors, VIF International Education, TES, Know My World, and the Learning Revolution Project. We hope that you will visit these sites and our sponsors for more global education opportunities.
Great.
And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Lisa. Good luck, Lisa. Break away.
Thank you, Lucy. Well, I just want to personally welcome everyone to tonight's session, Global Education in Action. I'm very excited. This is actually my favorite topic of discussion. And I wanted to take a moment to just recap a little bit for those of you that were able to join us for the first session, which was how we define global competence in education. I want to talk a little bit about where the platform that we're standing on. So previously, we looked at the idea of competency-based learning inside of global education. And we were able to really identify 4 main pillars of that level of learning. So knowledge, attitudes, skills, and also behaviors, sometimes called actions, or sometimes in other research you'll hear as outcomes. And inside of those 4 pillars of competency-based learning, we were able to identify and connect with some common aspects that practitioners in the field identify with, things like empathy and respect, or cultural awareness, critical thinking and collaboration, or even the actions that we put out into the world like solidarity, social justice work, and equity. And so from there, we looked a little bit at the research that's in the field. There's roughly 50 years of research inside of global competency and education, and over 20 definitions and models in the world. So we pointed out some notable contributors and researchers, really letting everyone know that this series is intended to bridge any gaps between the academic research, the scholarly research that's been available to us, and also for some of those tacit practitioners, ones that have been doing this kind of work in their classrooms, in their schools, in their community organizations, and might not be aware necessarily of the vocabulary and the terminology, and really bringing that together to create intention and something powerful inside of the learning process. So having said that, I will say again, I really encourage all of the participants to go forward and to look into this research and read deeper into some of the concepts that we discussed. And then the next thing that we covered in the last session was looking at two examples of models that can exist inside of curriculum. One is a very popular model. It's the Hunter Global Competency model, and also a recent model from Prepatec at Tec de Monterrey in Mexico in the Multicultural Competency model. So where does that lead us tonight? Well, tonight that leads us to three very special guests. I'm happy to welcome practitioners in the field in different capacities. We have with us tonight Darshini Diarpino. She's the director of the After School Project at the Boys and Girls Club in the city of Newburgh in New York. She's going to talk to us tonight about some of the projects and practices that they use with students, inner city students in the community organization. We also have Genevieve Murphy, who is the Global Development Director and co-founder of Know My World, and also a social and emotional educator at the American School Tai Chung in Taiwan. And then lastly, who can't be with us live, but who has been gracious enough to send us a video session, Eduard Mutener Perich from Spain, who is the founder of a brilliant organization called Inventors for Change. So tonight, these three guests will walk us through some of the actions that are specific to bringing global education into the learning environment. So the burning question for tonight's session, what kinds of pedagogical practices are specific to global competence education in the classroom? And so the first one that comes to mind, and I do a lot of work with teacher educators, with teacher education, is the concept of culturally responsive teaching. Now, there's a lot of research in the field around this, specifically in multicultural education here in the U.S. And culturally responsive teaching is very specifically something that goes beyond just our desire to do well in the world. We want to do good. We want to be respectful and ensure that every child has an equal learning opportunity. But this goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than our desire to notice and respect cultural differences. Specifically, culturally responsive teaching is our ability to not only have a diverse set of knowledge inside of culture and our students' cultures in the classroom, but also to be able to develop culturally relevant curriculum so that we're ensuring that all of the cultural identities and social identities of our learners in the classroom are being met. It also talks a lot about caring and building relationships inside of cultural differences. It focuses on cross-cultural communication and also focusing in on our ability to provide diverse instruction for the various cultural contexts that are present within our learners. So culturally responsive teaching is a key element. And, you know, a lot of times, again, this comes from a multicultural background, but it's not just specific to some of the classrooms that we might see in the U.S. that have a diversity of cultural context, but also within countries and cultures all over the world. There's a lot of cultural gaps for students. We might assume that some of the more notable ones like ethnicity or race, but there's also deeper sociocultural contexts as well. And so really just understanding that culturally responsive teaching applies in every learning community. It's not indicative of, it doesn't have to be an externally diverse classroom environment. So what is the toolkit for teachers to be able to accomplish this? Well, there are three primary areas as an educator that we want to make sure we're incorporating into our pedagogical practice. So the first is, of course, differentiated instruction. For those of you that are familiar with Gardner's multiple theories of intelligence, then you know we must make sure that we're including all of our learners, and we're really meeting a diversity of learning styles. So this looks like coming equipped with lots of different instructional strategies, and also in tandem with the culturally responsive teaching, understanding how our students learn, understanding how their cultural identities might impact their ability to learn more effectively. For example, something like cooperative learning versus independent learning. That could be embedded in cultural context. Another key element of this is student experiences. Student experiences are invaluable. Whenever I work with teachers, I always talk to them about the thing that we never want to hear is, I don't know why I have to learn this. This isn't important. I'm never going to use it in life. Well, that is a key indicator that students are not engaged, that they don't have meaning, they're not connected to the content, and they're not invested in it personally. So involving student experiences in the curriculum, ensuring that there's diversity in the cultural context, that gives them an ability to connect and to have a deeper interpretation and meaning in what we're trying to share with them. And then the last piece of this is essential questioning, and this is important because this connects your content with your student experience. This connects the world and the cultural context with your student experience, giving them an opportunity to really connect and employ higher order thinking, to think constructively. Of course, this is not open-ended questions. This is an ability to, you ask one question, 5 more appear, and it gives them a deeper context and a deeper order of thinking in terms of, you know, how does this impact my life? How will this impact my life for years to come? So there's a lot of depth inside of essential questioning. So a couple of key teaching strategies that exist inside of global education and that we're going to hear tonight in some of our guest shares, things like experiential learning, of course, giving them the opportunity to reflect on their learning experiences and connect and make meaning. Project-based learning is brilliant. Inside of this is already built many differentiated instructional strategies. So you'll have things like teamwork, you'll have things like research, digital media, ed tech. So there's a lot of layers inside of project-based learning. Also, contemplative practice and mindfulness. I'm a proponent of this. This is really the ability for students to have a deeper sense of reflection on what they've learned and to also employ social and emotional learning to moderate and self-regulate and think critically about who they are, the choices they make, and the impact they have on the world. Challenge-based learning very clearly gives them opportunities to explore, to problem solve, to be autonomous and independent, but also work collaboratively to create solutions in the world. Collaborative learning, of course, teamwork. Dialogic instead of debate, and I just highlight this as important. Inside of dialogue, we have an opportunity for conversation. But when we talk about debate, it's often a dominant-based system, and there's no equity in that. The idea of debate is for one person to come out in the victor. So dialogic strategies allow for open communication, multiple perspectives, cultural context inside of perspectives. And then lastly, I add flipped classroom. Flipped classroom is worth noting. I know that many people see flipped classroom simply as a digital strategy, but actually this is a great alleviator for teachers that feel that there's not enough time, that they're teaching to the content, they're teaching to the subject, and there's not enough time to bring some of these practices in the classroom. With flipped classroom, the idea is that you could send students home with the content information they need to prepare for the class, and then inside of the class you can dedicate your time to some of these more dynamic strategies, projects, and teamwork. So going forward, I just wanted to share briefly, before we invite our first guest in, about what kinds of practices incorporate global competency and multicultural education to the classroom. And it's very specifically activities and learning experiences that do these things. This is from G. Pritchie Smith, brilliant theorist in multicultural education. And he points out a few things. Inside of your classroom, making sure that we're moving students from culturally familiar to unfamiliar. So giving them opportunities to really get out of their comfort zone. And conflict and discomfort, it can actually be a good thing. It challenges us. It brings us out into awarenesses of things we can't see when we feel comfortable. So of course we want to do that in safely constructed learning environments. We want to set a space that students are able to do that, but really allowing them to understand that the conflict is not necessarily the bad thing. It's challenging. It's what human beings do with conflict that can have the greater impact of discrimination and oppression and violence. So we want them to explore conflict and challenge as a good thing. Also developing their identity from this ethnic psychological captivity to something more multicultural and global. And multiculturalism as a term really is focused on the ability to accept and respect and adapt to cultural differences, not necessarily the sterilization of cultural identity. So we want students to get outside of feeling that there's only maybe one kind of culture that exists in the world, out into various perspectives and open to lots of differences and their ability to embrace that and accept that. Also giving them interpersonal contact within interracial and intercultural relationships, so allowing them to explore diverse relationships in their life, increasing their knowledge about their own culture and the culture of others, allowing them to examine issues, concepts, and themes through multiple perspectives, so different cultural lens, not just the lens of gender identifying as a boy, or the lens of ethnically identifying as an Italian, but lots of different cultural lenses. And then lastly, enabling them to co-construct and solve social problems, understanding that this level of competency, global competency, cultural competency, is a lifestyle. It's not something that's just going to happen for them in a school day. And so these are key areas in promoting global competence in your classroom. So the next question, what do these practices look like when they're in action? And what is the impact on students when we're in full action? I'd like to now turn over to Genevieve Murphy, the co-founder of Know My World, and she's going to walk us through some of those practices in her classroom in Taiwan. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate your introduction. Yes, I am here, and I'm excited to share with you today some approaches that I implement with my third grade students here in Taiwan around global citizenship. So teaching at an international school, I have a culturally diverse classroom, and so it's important for me, I feel it's important for them to learn global citizenship. And it's important so that my students have a strong understanding of why and how to be respectful of their classmates who are from different cultural backgrounds, and not only acknowledge those differences, but also appreciate them in order to build a strong class climate. Another important thing is to bring an awareness of global issues into the classroom. And I think that that's important so that students can begin really at any age to not only be cognizant of problems and issues that are occurring, but more importantly, feel compelled and capable to bring about change and create solutions. So I feel that age is only a number, and the more that students are encouraged to think critically and collaboratively and creatively, the more confident they'll become in these skill sets. So how do we create this dynamic in our classroom? And an important starting point is self-awareness. So students need to not only understand, but also identify with who they are and where they come from. And once self is understood, then there's room for growth and expansion to outside influences, including the classroom community or local community, and then even further to a global awareness. A project that I do with my students to help with self-awareness is creating a class culture book. In this book, each of the students is responsible for creating 2 to 3 pages about their culture, where they can share things about their family, about their customs, about their traditions, important things to them about their history and their background and their culture. And then I have these pages bound into a book, and I give each of my students a copy of this book just so they can own it and they can take their time to go through it and really see what each other shared about their culture, and it's something they can take home with them and hopefully treasure to some extent. So the second part of this project is culture presentations, and I asked the students to bring in an item from their home that is representative of their culture that they feel is special and share it with their classmates. And this experience provides an opportunity for the students to go home and to actually talk with their parents and really learn about and connect with important aspects of who they are and where they come from. And this first step builds cultural awareness, understanding, and acceptance of diversity, some of those key points that Lisa mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. So also as mentioned, as experienced educators, we know that the most effective teaching method is experiential learning and providing students with hands-on learning projects and opportunities to have personal interactions with their learning and with their experiences. So providing these types of opportunities is also important towards creating a cooperative class climate. In my class, we do culture units, and we spend a few weeks learning about and discovering fun and interesting things about each of the cultures represented amongst my students. And these units include not only learning geography and history, but also more engaging activities like creating the country flag or playing games, doing art projects, listening to music or singing songs, reading literature from different countries and authors from different countries. And they're really interactive and engaging, and everyone has a really good time while they're also learning things like empathy, curiosity, respect, sensitivity, connection to others, and equality. Once you have a united class climate, then you can start to expand the students' awareness to local or global situations. So this involves bringing in topics of current events or global issues, and really opening up your classroom to discuss those things through essential questions or guided questions. And students really have a lot of great ideas and interpretations and things that they really want to share when they're given an opportunity to discuss these things. And my favorite part of these units is our class discussions. We have really great class discussions where everyone is making thoughtful contributions and excited about sharing and listening to what each other is saying and offering solutions, and a bunch of excited 8-year-olds about how to solve global issues is really fun conversation to have. So guided questions and essential questions can help steer these conversations. And this year, my students chose to focus on learning more about pollution and litter, which are local problems here in Taiwan, as well as global issues. So as part of their research, they connected with a school in Australia to discuss the issue and to get perspectives about these issues from another country. And this project provided opportunities for the for classroom collaboration as well as global collaboration. And my students really enjoyed using the technology where they used blogs, and we also incorporated Adobe Connect for video conferences so the students could talk and share about their ideas and their thoughts on different global issues. So not only did they enjoy the technology, but they also really enjoyed interacting with peers in another part of the world. It's important to remember that as we are talking about global issues, that we also focus on the solution and possibilities of things that they can create and action plans that they can do in order to help solve these problems. So again, through class discussions, the students identified things that they could do to help minimize litter and pollution and to contribute to a solution. So these ideas included things like picking up trash, not using plastic bags when they go shopping with their parents, and not buying things with additional packaging, which is quite common here in Taiwan. So they'll take vegetables but then wrap them in individual plastic bags. So just being mindful of what they're choosing to buy when they're buying things. And finally, the students designed a Bring Their Own Dish to School campaign for a special lunch that the school was providing as part of our Thanksgiving celebration back in November. And they decided that, they realized that if everyone in the school used a paper plate and paper bowl, then we were going to make quite a lot of trash. And so instead, they wanted to encourage everyone to bring their own dish so that they could minimize that trash amount. So they worked to make posters, and then they went to all of the elementary classrooms to promote their campaign. And by the time they were done with the elementary classes, their excitement and enthusiasm was so great that they asked if they could go and talk with the middle school students, and then they wanted to go talk with the high school students, and then they went and talked with the principal, and they probably talked to every staff member as well, and encouraged all of them to bring their own dish as well. And I was really impressed with my students because they had that courage to go and share this idea that they were quite passionate about, and they weren't intimidated by speaking with students who were in middle and high school like they normally would, but this passion just kind of drove them to want to go and reach out and talk with as many people as possible. And it wound up being a very successful campaign. And a lot of students and teachers in the other classes brought their own dish for the Thanksgiving meal. And not only that, but the idea stuck. And now anytime we have a special lunch, the students remember to bring their own dish and they get excited about it. So I'd like to end just by sharing a short video from my students about their pollution and litter project. And I thank you for your time and attention today. And I enjoyed sharing my amazing students as well as some applicable classroom tactics for teaching global citizenship in elementary classrooms with you. And please enjoy this video.
And I'm just working on getting the video up, so there we go. Is everyone able to see the video?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, I apologize for those of you that were not able to see the video. Were most of you able to see it? Okay, great. Okay, well then I'd like to take an opportunity, actually, we're going to go to another video, and this was sent to us by Edward Mountenier from Inventors for Change. And I'll just wait a few seconds in case for some of you that the video is still playing. All right, great. Okay. This is from Edward from Inventors for Change, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about how he's created a foundation that connects students in challenge-based learning. He does a lot of work specifically between Spain and India. And so let's have a look at what he does. So I know this is just, for some reason, this is on a delay. So. Great. So that was Edward and Inventors for Change. I highly recommend checking them out. I've put their link in the chat box. And so next we're going to hear from Darshini D'Arpino from the Boys and Girls Club in the city of Newburgh, New York. So Darshini, I leave it to you to walk us through some of the wonderful work that you've been doing.
Everyone. Of the of Newburgh, it's kindergarten to we discussed at the Boys and Girls. I'd like to give you background on the north of New York. In 2010, the violent for 7 out of the last times.
Darshini, can you stop for a second? Your audio is really, really super choppy, and I'm wondering if you could quickly go up to the tools in audio and run the audio setup wizard really quickly and see if that helps. And we'll wait for you. it's really hard to understand. We want to hear you desperately, but we can't because it's really choppy for some reason.
Okay, I'll do the auto setup real quickly.
You just sounded okay there, so that's kind of funny. Anyway, just run it really quickly, and then we'll keep going. Okay, we'll wait for you. Thanks everyone for your patience. Sometimes when people are having audio issues, you'll see, I believe there's a little icon to the right of your name, and you may see it turn. I'm not sure if it's. I don't think it's the microphone with the red thing on it, but I think it's maybe the little yellow dots that appear, and that means that somebody's having audio issues. Sometimes you'll hear the voice, somebody's voice kind of catch up as if it sounds like a mouse kind of voice, and that's because there's a lag in the audio as well. But generally, things will settle down in a minute. Darshini, let us know when you're. It looks like you're ready now. Do you want to try your microphone again? I still heard you I still heard that funny choppy sound. Try it again. Can you press the talk button and see if it's working? We didn't hear you then.
Hear me?
No, it's really funny. I mean, it was working. You sounded great before. No, we try again. You sounded all right a minute ago.
All right. Can you hear me a little bit better?
That sounds great.
Okay, perfect. Start from the beginning so that I'm not sure.
We're getting that sound again. Are you using a microphone or something, or do you know what that sound might be?
I'm not sure. Let me check my settings again.
The echo might be, Shane, from me. I have my talk button on, so there might be an echo there, but this is beyond an echo. This is like a really choppy sound. She sounded okay a minute ago, but then it starts up again. One of our participants just suggested a really good thing. You might want to try using a phone for the audio. Darshini, and I can send you the phone number for her to call in for this, and then that might help you. Let me pull that up. Hang on a second. The phone number is, if you want to join the teleconference, this is it right here. And why don't we try that? Sorry, I think I just pasted the whole email, but it's at the very bottom right there. Darshini, do you see that? Awesome, thanks. And great idea, Larissa. I'm sure you have great things to hear and we want to hear you, so hopefully this will work. Any luck, Darshini? It shouldn't be invalid. We had somebody in earlier. Did you get the 8-9 there, the whole thing? Let me see. I'll try it out myself. Hang tight, people. We can go past 7 o'clock if we need to. It's not a big deal. Or 8 o'clock if you're on the East Coast. Let's see if she can get in. And if not, maybe Lisa can walk through some of these slides if the audio is still not great. All right. Okay, can you talk? Can we hear you, Darshini? Do you want to try talking?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think there's like an echo. All right, can everyone hear me clearly now?
Yeah, there's a terrible echo. And I have my... Turn the mic off your computer. You gotta mute your computer because the audio from the computer is coming through. Try it again.
Okay, is it fixed now? Can you hear me clearly? Oh, great. Okay. Yay. All right, I'm going to start if we're good to go. All right. So I will start again. Good evening, everyone. My name is Darshini Darpino. I'm the program director of the After School Project at the Boys and Girls Club of Newburgh, where we serve grades kindergarten to 12th grade. So I'm going to be discussing how we address global education at the Boys and Girls Club of Newburgh. To begin, I would like to give you all just a quick background of the community of Newburgh. Newburgh is located 60 miles north of New York City on the west bank of the Hudson River in Orange County, New York. In 2010, the city of Newburgh held the title of most violent city in New York State for 7 out of the last 10 years, according to crime statistics. As of 2014, Newburgh remains on the list of one of the top 10 most violent cities in New York. Newburgh suffers from a host of urban problems, including substandard housing, a high percentage of single-parent families, a high crime rate, gangs, drugs, teen pregnancy, failing schools, and a crumbling infrastructure. The Boys and Girls Club, our actual site is located in Census Tract 4, which contains the city's highest percentage of families living in poverty. I just thought it was important to mention this because it gives you an idea of the challenges that our members face and what we're trying to do to kind of help them through those challenges. In our after-school program, it's really important for us to cultivate members that understand perspective. And you will see later on in this presentation exactly how we address this in our program. We make an effort to validate our students' experiences and to promote opportunities for our members to learn about other perspectives. In our after-school project, members collaborate in groups and they create projects. They present these projects to parents in our after-school community at a symposium, and these projects are just wonderful displays of what the children have learned with us over an 8-week period. Our program, our major component of our program is project-based learning. So the students have to research their projects, use teamwork to collaborate in groups, and then communicate their findings to others. And we want our members to be active learners, so it's really important that they're involved with whatever the issue is that they're dealing with, whatever the guiding question is, or community issue or world issue that they're trying to solve. So our focus is on enrichment activities. We want to expose the children to activities in the arts and technology and sports that they wouldn't typically normally be able to participate in. And so we use the arts to develop those 21st century skills, whether it's dance or music or digital arts or visual arts. And our members really look forward to these activities. And often these activities keep the members coming back because we have our academic portion, we have our homework portion. So the activities is something exciting the students can look forward to. It's kind of their reward for doing such amazing work with us. So there are three main components to our program. So academic success, which the students have their homework and they do project-based learning. Healthy lifestyles, where they take nutrition classes. We have a program called Triple Play, where it's all about the mind, body, and the soul, and encourages the students to get up and move and exercise. We also have good character and citizenship, and that's where students can join our Student Advisory Council. They can participate in our mentoring program, and we also have a program called Youth of the Year. All of our different sites at the Boys and Girls Club, the students will compete amongst each other, and each site nominates a student that represents the Boys and Girls Club on our mission, and they follow the 5 Bs, which is actually what we're going to talk about next. So we have at the Boys and Girls Club of Newburgh our core values, which are called the 5 Bs. Be safe, be responsible, be positive, be respectful, be great. The staff are trained in social emotional learning, so they can support the development of every child in our program. And the skills that they learn are incorporated into every component of our program. And we know that, especially from the very beginning, it's important to have a supportive, caring environment for students so they can trust us and know that we care about them. This really improves our program, but it's something that is incorporated into every aspect of our program. So SEL, at our program we refer to it as AMSERD. Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision-making. In our program, we start with self-awareness, and we start to work on how the students feel about themselves, their environment, and then we work on social awareness, and the students are able to work on projects in the community. We definitely encourage them to get involved in the community and to advocate for themselves. But AMSERD, what we call AMSERD, allows our members to have a common vocabulary, and they're encouraged to describe their emotions and to talk about their emotions and to talk about the world around them. So the After School Project, like I said, in the very beginning we focus on self-awareness, and then we branch out into the larger community. And we've learned that setting a caring environment is essential for learning, and we focus on mindfulness. We'll talk more in detail about how we do that, but we focus on mindfulness, self-awareness as the foundation of our program. So every classroom we have active word walls. So we call them active because we're constantly reviewing them, adding to them, referring to them in the classroom. So we have agency rules, which we call the 5 Bs, which we just spoke about. And we have the words, and we have definitions of the words. What does it mean to be respectful? What does that look like in each grade level? And we have the cozy corner in every classroom, where the students can, if they need a moment to kind of reassess, and they need a little time out there, they can go to the cozy corner and kind of regulate their own emotions and decide if they want to join the group. So it kind of empowers them to manage their own emotions and their own behaviors. And every Cozy Corner has a problem-solving wheel, and it's different for each age group. Like I said, we have kindergartners as young as kindergartners, and we have teenagers. But some of the things, like on the problem-solving wheel, it was helpful for the older kids, is to think about, well, the first thing is this really a problem? So they'll look at the problem-solving wheel, and sometimes it's just like something they can brush off, or sometimes it's something that it's not an issue that needs to be addressed at that moment. But it just gives the kids tools to figure out exactly how to manage their social interactions with one another. We also have quiet time or meditation in every classroom. And it starts off with, just a couple seconds sometimes with the younger students. And hopefully gradually we try to build up to at least 5 minutes or whatever the students really need in that moment. It can be done on the floor, on a nice comfy pillow, outside in nature. Our older students, sometimes they'll put hoodies over their heads. And it's fine as long as they're able to relax and focus. We allow them to do whatever they need to do. And we try to focus on, this is not just something you can do in the after-school program. This is something that you can do when you're out in the community. If you're upset, if you need to just close your eyes, take a deep breath. We go through all of these steps. We try to have the students not just go through the motions, but understand why they're doing it, why it's important to take a deep breath when you're frustrated, why it's important to pause for a moment and think before you react. These are really important life skills for our students to understand. And you'll see the examples. This is one of the examples in the classroom. I believe this is our 3rd grade classroom. The students are promising to really look into self-awareness and self-management and relationships build and all of those things. So there are requirements for our classrooms. Every classroom has council time, which looks different in every class. So so in the kindergarten class, maybe they're all sitting in a circle and they have a question of the day that they talk about, or the students will come up with issues that they just have to talk about. They're just dying to talk about. So the teachers usually take the lead and we'll have a guiding question, but sometimes the students have their own ideas of what they'd like to talk about. And it's really a time to develop interpersonal skills, to communicate with one another, to accept differences when things are brought up. And it's just a wonderful tool for the kids to have their voices heard. And it's something that's a requirement for all of our classrooms. We have songs that the students sing. We have dance incorporated. We try to respect the fact that the students have been in school all day long and they're coming to us in after school. So if they need to get some energy out, we allow them to do that at council time. Or if they just want to sit quietly, we kind of take their lead and like we said, respect the fact that they've had a long day before they come to us. So the goal is basically to foster a positive environment and a positive student identity. And we do that through council time and our daily check-ins and questions of the day. So you can see we have a schedule. So our teachers set the lesson plans every week, and in their lesson plan they include each day of the week they have a different aspect of answer that they're addressing with their students. And I review it as the director of the program. Our director of education, Susan, also reviews it and gives feedback to the teachers. Sometimes we'll say, oh, that doesn't really sound, maybe you can add something to that, make it a little bit more fun or more engaging for your students. And our teachers are open to the feedback and make the necessary changes that need to be made. This year, we spent close to 9 weeks between the beginning of our program, which starts in October, to December, to focus on SEL. So we were very lucky that we were able to do that because that sets such a strong foundation that we can start off that continues for the rest of the year. So we're constantly referring to the 5 Ds as kids sing songs about the 5 Ds. They make chants. They make really fun videos, which you'll get to see a little bit later. And so, this is something that's really embedded into everything we're doing, even our electives, even interns that are visiting our program. All the interns go through an orientation and we tell them all about the 5 Ds so they're on the same page. And you should see the kids' faces when we have visitors and they're like, wait a minute, you know about the 5 Ds? You know about being great and being responsible? It's just a great way to build community, even with people that are just visiting for a short period of time. So there are other ways that we try to get the kids more involved in the community. So we have community service projects, and it basically allows members to research, investigate social problems in their community, and it really does increase their community awareness, things that are going on. So our students are doing a homeless shelter collection for the whole month of February, and it's something that the kids have been saying since the beginning of the program. They see a lot of homeless individuals in their community, standing outside of our program at times, and we also have a library project where the students saw a need in the community. We have a library which is about 2 blocks away from our program. And one day there was a shooting on one of the major roads, like close to our program, the way that we usually walk to the library. There was a shooting. This person ran their car into a tree. The tree fell down and really upset the kids. And we were saying, well, we want a safe way to get to the library. So they came up with an idea to build a crosswalk to the library. And we were working, our youth council, they met with the director of the library, and we were in communication with the city council member for our ward, and we're working on building a crosswalk. And we try to make sure our students know that we will support any ideas that they have. We will advocate for them and empower them to make change. We also have a community cleanup project that's going on with our 3rd graders. The kids have a March for Peace every February. We have a youth council, which has 2 representatives from each grade, and I meet with them every Friday. And they have wonderful ideas, and we just have conversations about projects that we'd like to take on. It's a chance for them to have the director with them. They have all of my attention, and it's just a great way to have the kids involved in the programming. And we also have a laundromat project. This is something that the kids had this wonderful idea because they spend a lot of time with their families in the laundromat, like hours at a time. And they thought it would be a great idea to have like a literacy center in one of the local laundromats, which is actually like not even a block away from our program. So it will be youth council's responsibility to keep it tidy, to put books, coloring books, anything that they like to add to it, and kind of maintain it throughout the school year. We also have a wonderful event called the By Me Gala, and this gala is celebrating positive male role models in the lives of our female members. So you see the picture here of a young girl in our program with her father, and it's a wonderful event. We had the idea to do a father-daughter dance, but we also understand that some of our members may not have a father at home. So the idea is that a grandfather can come and stand by a young girl, an uncle, an older brother, even one of our male staff members who's a great role model can come. So last year we had our first event and we had close to 400 attendees. And it was wonderful. It was a very meaningful event. I mean, some of our fathers hadn't seen their daughters in quote-unquote years. So, I mean, this was just a wonderful opportunity to recognize also the wonderful male role models in our community. Our next gala, we're planning the gala actually right now, and it will be in May. So I'm looking forward to that. So the impact on our members. So one of the most popular with our members is the debates and journaling that we also do. So it's a chance for them to, during the debates, is having respect for other people's opinions and thoughts and feelings. And the journaling, which I forgot to mention, in our Cozy Corner we have journals. So the students, they like to write about what brought them to the Cozy Corner. They can do that in a private way. The journaling is a really great way to reflect and to validate someone's experience. We also noticed that in the beginning, You have incident reports. Students are just acclimating to this culture that we're creating. But as the program goes on, we notice fewer incident reports, less behavior referrals, especially as our students start to gain, strong relationships with our staff, which is very important. It just fosters a very positive environment, with common vocabulary, and meditation and council time really does transform your program. The effects on the staff, I should note also. Some of the staff members come in and they feel like the students need to have a, very strict guidelines, and that they need, kind of a hard edge, that they come from these communities with a lot of challenges and need, tough love kind of thing. And you see as the staff members incorporate SEL and the 5 Bs, everything that we're doing, they start to learn as well. And it's wonderful with ongoing training and support. We're able to kind of change their mind about what the needs of our students are, and we start to see change in the staff, which is wonderful. Also, you also see more community service projects that are, student-centered and child-centered. And this last month, we had our first Be Great Symposium. And this effect on the members is that we had one of the first female African-American police officers in Newburgh come and speak to the students as a guest speaker. We had a city councilman, and we had a wonderful motivational speaker who does a lot of work globally and in larger communities like Detroit. And they came and shared a lot of wonderful information with our students, just to inspire them a little bit. And also it's great when we have people from the outside, not just our teachers saying, be great, be responsible, respectful, when people from the outside also are reflecting those same things. People that are successful, people that come from the same community that they do. And project-based learning also is wonderful because it helps us listen to our students and support them and help them to bring these projects to life. And lastly, it's really important for us to mention just our work with Know My World and programs like Play It Forward, which are facilitated by Know My World educators in partnership with our program staff. But it's just a wonderful resource for us to have, because it helps us to really connect our members with others globally. So last year our students were able to connect with other students in Taiwan, and through the Play It Forward project, which was amazing, they were able to really experience another culture through playing games in a fun, engaging way, using digital media and other resources. But when you saw the students, like when they were learning about what students in Taiwan do for fun and things that they do for recreation, it's just, you should just see their faces. They're just, just super engaged. And, and we want to do more activities like that, because we do a lot of focus on, developing our students and work in our local community, but it's really important to make those global connections, and we're really hoping to work more with Know My World. And I'm actually excited because we're starting programming soon with our younger students in April. So I guess I will, if I'm able to cue the video, I would love to show a video that our second graders made, which I feel beautifully demonstrate the effects of social emotional learning on our members. It's kind of like straight from their mouths.
And actually, Lucy, I just want to make sure, do we have time for video? I know we're about 20 minutes over the intended time, so I just want to get the temperature of the room and see if we have time for that video.
It's really up to you. I mean, I would go ahead and show it. If people need to drop off, they'll drop off. But generally we do try to keep things under an hour, but go for it.
Okay. That was great. Thank you, Darshini. Okay. So yes, thank you so much for those of you that hung in with us. I think that these are brilliant examples of some of the powerful work that's being done in the world right now to bring global education into action. And I think it's really worth noting, particularly in the last segment that we saw, social and emotional learning is really a cornerstone in global competence. It's important that students have these kinds of skills to be self-aware of their own cultural identities and their social identities and the impact that they have on others, and also their ability to self-regulate when they're working within cultural differences and cross-cultural relationships. So that really powerful stuff. Thank you. And I recognize next would be a question and answer segment, but I feel like as we've been going through, we've been answering many questions. So if there's anything burning, I invite you to put that up. And if not, we'll go forward and we'll just close out the webinar. Any burning questions?
If you have a question, why don't you use the hand tool right above or right below the participants window, the top of the window. There's a little hand there. If you want to raise your hand, I'll give you the mic, and you can ask your question if you'd like to do that, or you can type it in the chat.
Thanks, Lucy.
Okay. It looks like people are still thinking, or maybe they'll put something in the chat in a second. Just a couple tips here, everybody. If you want to save all of the links that were mentioned in the chat, and you want to save them for future use, you can go to File, the File menu at the top left-hand side of your screen, and go to Chat, and you can save the chat transcript to a text file. So that's one handy tip if you want to grab those resources as well. And Lisa has also put into the chat some of the links that are in the original posting on our website as well. This recording will be processed shortly after we leave the room, but we'll have it up on YouTube in the next couple days, and we'll send out the link to everyone who registered on Eventbrite. But you can also find it at youtube.com/globaledcon, and I can put the link in there for you. Last call for questions. Anybody have any questions? Or Lisa, do you have any final words for the group? Oh, one more thing I want to mention too before we close, and then I'll let you take us home, Lisa. We are doing this again in April, and the topic is challenges and strategies in global education. Lisa might want to be able to tell us a little bit more about that before we close. And the link is right here if you want to register for our third webinar in this series. So Lisa, do you want to finish things off and let us know what's coming next month?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I just wanted to leave everybody with a call to action. So thinking about at least 10 strategies that you have in your classroom that support global education, ways you can expand your pedagogy, and also thinking about what kind of evidence you can create with your students that would demonstrate their experience with these practices. So how could you create something external for the world to see? And yes, we will be in the next session in April, we will be talking about challenges and strategies, ways in which we can come up against maybe some of the budgetary restrictions, administration or infrastructure, and creating communities that really support us in bringing these practices into our learning communities.
And there you have it. There is our YouTube channel. You'll be able to find this and the previous month's recording on there shortly. Make sure that you go to globaled.tv to see our future events, and globaledevents.com also will give you more information about other events that we're planning besides the Global Education Conference. So thanks again to Lisa and her guests. It's such a small world. Genevieve is from a school where a friend of mine from college's son goes. He's in 6th grade at her school in Taiwan. and they're there for a year on a Fulbright. So it's a small, small global world, I think, and we appreciate all your time, everyone, and sharing your expertise. And we'll see you at the next webinar, everyone. Thanks for coming.